Choosing the next home isn't just about price. It's about lifestyle, timing, and long-term value. By the end of this video, you'll know how to choose the right home for you, how to avoid overpaying, and make sure that you feel comfortable when making the move. What type of home should I buy for my next move? Now, this is where you want to sit down and decide what is the right type of property going to be for you. Is it going to be a single family? Is it going to be a townhome? Do you want something that's a condo with lower maintenance? Do you want something that's on its own, has a lot more land? Do you mind it having a septic? Do you want a new construction versus a pre-made existing home already? Are you buying a home that's going to match the stage of life that you're in? Potentially looking at downsizing, or if you're looking to upsize and start a family, these are going to be very different types of homes. Most buyers regret buying the wrong type of home rather than paying a little bit more to get the home that they actually want. How do I choose the right neighborhood for my lifestyle? Now, this is where you want to sit down with all the parties involved and you want to discuss, how far from work do you want to be? Is there a particular school district? What's important to you? Do you want to be near a lake? Do you love going hiking? Do you want to be out in the wilderness? And make yourself a list of maybe the top 5 to 10 things that are absolutely non-negotiable when it comes to area. One of the big ones is, how do I know if a home is priced right for the area? This is where you want to speak to a real estate agent, make sure that they're pulling up comparable sales of homes that have sold recently in the area. And basically, you want to be looking at homes that have sold in the last 30 to 90 days that are the same type as your property of a similar size. So don't try comparing a 3-bedroom townhouse to a 3-bedroom detached house because they're just not close enough at all. The reason why you want those recent comps is that the market is ever changing. So the more recent the comps, the better indication that that is the price that property is worth. You'll also want to look at days on market. So if a property, let's say it's priced at $350,000, but it's been on the market for 100 days and it hasn't been getting very many views or saves on Zillow, this may signal that it is slightly overpriced, especially if it's surrounded by cheaper homes. In Lancaster County, we have such a small amount of inventory, paying fair market price for property is better than waiting around trying to find a deal. Should you buy a fixer-upper home or one that is turnkey ready? This is going to come down to your personal situation. If you have plenty of cash reserves and you've got lots of time on your hands and you're pretty handy, then buying a fixer-upper can be a really good way of getting into an area that you want to be for less money. My wife and I, we wanted to buy in this particular neighborhood and we bought this home because it was a bit of a fixer-upper, but we wouldn't have been able to afford a fully renovated house at the time. What we were able to do was buy it for far cheaper than the average house price on the block. And then over the last 2 years, we've been putting money into it and sweat equity. And now we get to live in the nice part of town that we wanted to be in, and our mortgage payment is less. Now that said, there were some days where I would come home and I'd have to do painting, and I just wish I could have come back to a nice, clean, ready-made home. So new construction can also be a great option, or a home that's maybe 5 to 10 years old. Something else to consider with that is you can also build long-term equity. So by buying a home that's below market price or needs some renovations, you can easily make that home worth more money, so building your equity in the home as well. What home inspections should you prioritize before purchasing a home? Now, once again, because inventory is pretty low, if a home is priced well and it's in good condition, it might end up getting multiple offers. Again, using my wife and I as an example, the home that I'm in, fixer-upper, it was priced relatively low compared to the neighborhood. It had 4 offers, so we basically ended up waiving our inspections, which, in hindsight, we definitely shouldn't have done, but we also knew we were going to have to spend money on renovating it anyway. Now, we also have a background and history of renovating homes, so unless you happen to be pretty handy or great at DIY, maybe you want to steer away from buying the ones that are big fixer-uppers, as they can become real money pits. But as a general rule, always try and get yourself a home inspection if possible. You'll also want to try and get yourself a termite inspection if it's an older home. And if you're buying a property that has a septic that's older than 10 years, try and get yourself a septic inspection as well. How competitive do I need to be when making an offer? If a home's been on the market for 100 days, has no other offers, you have a good chance of being able to do some negotiation. Now, that said, you can almost rest assured that even though it's been on the market for 100 days, the minute you put an offer in, a second offer will also come in. So still going relatively close to the asking price, but try and get yourself some seller help. Try to negotiate getting some inspections, and ultimately pick your heart. If you'd rather pay slightly more but be able to get a home inspection, I would say that's probably a better way to go, because the protections of a home inspection can save you tens of thousands of dollars rather than trying to save 2 or 3% on a purchase price. When buying, you want to speak with a listing agent and see what terms are important to the seller. Is it the time frame? Is it inspections? Is it just the overall bottom number of how much money they're going to walk away with? Having that conversation then means you'll be able to structure the offer in a way that can hopefully win you the home. I've had plenty of times where we weren't the highest offer, but we had either cleaner terms or they just liked the way that I communicated with them, and that was enough to get us the home in the end. How can I choose a home without overpaying or rushing? Now, the best way, I would say, preparation is key for this. So by going get yourself fully pre-approved, you're going to have all of your financing in order. So when you do find a home, you're going to be able to act pretty quickly. It can be very overwhelming, the amount of documentation you have to do. In some cases, I've actually done something called a pre-offer, where we would sit down as if we were going to write an offer on a property, just because we know when it's a competitive market, a home may come on a Thursday, you may look at it on a Friday, and it can be under contract by Saturday. So being able to be fully pre-approved, have some experience, or at least have talked through what the contracts look like, so that when you go to write an offer, the client isn't going to be overwhelmed, and being very clear about the purposes of the inspections. This can help you reduce analysis paralysis, so when the right home comes up, you can be ready to pounce on it. In conclusion, purchasing the right home is basically about a clear strategy of the type of home you want, the type of financing you're going to be used, structuring an offer properly to win it, and then ultimately pulling the trigger and making that offer. Now that you've sat down and figured out what type of home you'd like to purchase, if you click this video, it'll tell you what the pre-approval process looks like. And this video here talks about the process of start to finish of how long it takes to purchase a home.